From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show, key pieces sign up for another go as the new year starts hot for FSU. Quarterback market feels soft, or will the Seminoles strike gold late? And they're being a little bit weird about running back again. Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. That's right, CumminsLifestyle. You know the deal, everybody. Follow them on Instagram. They're giving away an ultimate tailgate for 4 at a home game of your choosing this coming season. Got to be a member of Warchant.com. Tough ask, right? It's been tough on the Noles. Well, how about 50% off an annual membership? I can offer you that right now, and I'll throw in a free year subscription to The Athletic. All of that, The Athletic. 50% off Warchant.com. Full access to On3. The ability, the opportunity to ask questions, to get on the Renegade Express mailbag, and then win an ultimate tailgate courtesy of our great friends over at Cummins. And you also get to read all the awesome columns, insight from our guy Matt LeScoop. Matt Lasser just grinding out there for us. Irish O'Fell, and of course, Corey S. Clark. Corey Clark, Happy New Year, brother. How are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah. Other than I think maybe next year, we just pack the tents up until the portal opens. Feel like everything we talked about the previous 4 shows doesn't matter. All those guys are coming back. And then the new year started off on the right foot with Duce Robinson announcing that he was returning. So all the things are starting to line up for me. What'd you do for New Year's Eve, by the way, real quick before we pivot to Florida State talk? Anything fun?
I went to Corner Pocket, buddy.
Hell
went out
yeah.
to dinner and then went to Corner Pocket, rang in the new year, watching, maybe unfortunately the Miami Hurricanes win. But yeah, it was fun to be there. Just passed out champagne to everybody there, so it's a good time.
Good. All right, well, let's get to it then. Schedule conflicts last week. Basically, your guy, I was a little banged up to get back on the microphone late last week. Sorry, everybody. I'm here for you now, though. I guess let's start with Duce. That's obviously the biggest, I would think, singular development. Also, by the way, today, 12 o'clock, high noon, John Garrett, new general manager, player personnel director. Don't quite know what the title is. We'll get it figured all out. He's going to have a press conference over on campus. We will bring you all the updates, courtesy of Corey Clark's live transcription. I said this on the video with Tom, Corey. Incredible development, obviously, to get Duce. But for me, I just felt like as the days went by and he did not declare, I felt like this was what was going to happen. They were going to use him as like this kind of grand opening, soft opening, like launch for the rebuild or whatever you want to call it that they're doing right now, going into the portal and then getting all the guys back on board. So huge news, but like I kind of had anticipated. Doesn't make it any less impactful, but that's the way I kind of process it. What was your initial reaction, and now a few days afterwards, knowing that Duce will be back in the fold for 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes for Duce and Rawls. I think that, like I've talked about, Rawls is, and I wrote a column about this, I think Rawls is an NFL cornerback. That was going to be a pretty big loss, I thought. Getting him back, and then Duce, we didn't think he was necessarily going to leave for another school, but he had other places to go. He has a place to go get drafted by, and the fact that he came back, look, you need some elite talent. You're not going to get no team in the country anymore, by the way, has elite players everywhere. You just don't. But you've got to have elite at some places, and I feel like Rawls has the chance to be an elite cornerback, and I think Duce Robinson is an elite wide receiver. So starting just from that point, having 2 guys on each side of the ball that you think are NFL-type players. Like when you look at the Florida State roster right now, as it's currently constructed, and obviously they've only added one guy from the portal right now, the DB from South Alabama. I'm sure we'll talk about him later. It's not like you see a ton of dudes that are surefire NFL picks. Well, I think those guys are.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a start. You need that. It's a good starting off point. They're not close to being done. They still got to get a quarterback, and I know we're going to talk about that a lot. But Duce coming back gives you, I think, at least a top, 3-round NFL draft pick. But on top of that, I don't care where he's drafted. Well, that's not true. Duce, I want you to go make a ton of money.
Absolutely.
And have a great life.
But he's an elite college wide receiver.
Exactly. That's the point I was going to say. Yeah. It's like whatever he does at the next level, we saw it firsthand. He is a dynamic, game-changing wide receiver. He is one of the best in the country. Certainly one of the 2 or 3 best in the conference, but he's one of the best in the country, and you got him. He's coming back. What a cool place to start, because at this time last year, Duce was in the fold, but none of us knew what Duce was. Well, now we do. It's kind of like, it reminds me, maybe the team probably won't be as good, but it reminds me of when Jared Verse came back for 2023. The reason that was so exciting wasn't just we knew what it wasn't. It was the difference between Jared Verse playing in 2022 and playing in 2023. When he started his career at Florida State in 2022, we all thought he had a chance to be good. When we went into 2023, we knew he was good. And now you have that same knowledge with Duce Robinson. So at the very worst, that's a really good place to start. And I think you think the same thing with Jabril, right? I just think Jabril has a chance to be an NFL cornerback. He is a good player that made some great plays, had some really nice moments this season, and only played 7 games. Like, he stays healthy and plays a full year. It's good to have that out there and know that one side of the field, you at least got 2 starters out of the portal, right? I know Duce wasn't technically in the portal, but we weren't sure he was coming back. Well, now that he's coming back, that's a good place to start this roster.
All right, where do we pivot from here? I guess let's you mentioned
quarterback,
Jabril.
Man.
Okay, we'll go to
quarterback.
We'll go to quarterback then. So I'm hanging out, just living life, trying to get 2026 start off on the right foot, and then in our inner office messaging application, our guy Matt Lasser says, get that promo ready for the 50% off tweet because our forums are about to go berserk. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, are they getting Sam Levitt? Like this? Because when I heard berserk, I'm like joyous, right? Like, we're back. Let's go. DJ Lagway, apparently mutual interest.
Yeah.
He was scheduled to visit on Sunday. I should look at the message boards right now and confirm whether or not he made it on campus. Maybe you saw it, Corey. But that one, I don't know how berserk I would go. So Calandria wraps his visit. He's headed to Georgia
Sunday,
Tech.
Yeah. He was there on Sunday. Okay,
so Lagway is supposed to show up on Sunday night and then hang out on Monday. And then listen, we're actually going to speak to Alford. We're going to speak to the Mikes as well as John Garrett apparently later today. We're going to get Mike Norvell and Michael Alford. So I like Calandria more than I like Lagway. I don't know where you stand on that, Corey. The Lagway thing makes zero sense to me. If anybody's your offensive coordinator, but especially Gus Malzahn, Lagway has not really displayed a willingness to run the ball. Yeah. He has not displayed great durability. And then and also on top of it, it's like, I don't think Florida was that hurt to see him leave. And then you kind of pick up their leftovers. So I did not get good vibes from that at all, but they have their tentacles out for other people, Calandria being one of them. Colton Joseph, the quarterback from Old Dominion, committed to Wisconsin. So we'll see who else might be potentially in the mix. Your thoughts on quarterback Lagway versus Calandria, or just Lagway and how this could possibly work best case and realistically?
Yeah, man. I mean, anybody that's listened to me talk about the kid for the last year and a half knows I'm not the biggest fan of DJ Lagway for numerous reasons. But I'm not. I would be very trepidatious if they brought him in. Like I was more excited about Tommy Castellanos, and I wasn't that excited about him than I would be DJ Lagway coming in for the reasons you mentioned. The willingness to run. He's been injured multiple times in his career. He doesn't seem all that willing to run, even though he's a huge kid. I haven't looked at his numbers. I don't know what his stats are. He also just frankly hasn't been that good. And he just quarterbacked the team to a 4-8 record or whatever they were. So none of that is ideal. I think the flip side of that, though, is clearly if it does if somehow it fits, his upside is bigger than Calandria's. The problem is he going to hit that upside? And if not, what does that do to the offense if he doesn't? Because at least Calandria, Calandria played at UNLV, which, he was good at UNLV. He was not all that good at Virginia when he played better competition because he just made too many mistakes. He was too much of a wild card. At UNLV, Dan Mullen's really good.
He is. Yeah.
Dan Mullen's had good offenses wherever he's been and had good quarterbacks put up big numbers. So how much of what he did this year is because Dan Mullen was his coach or because he was just good? And with Dan Mullen not being his coach, does he turn back into the Virginia guy? So there are question marks with both of these guys. I think Lagway's ceiling is higher, clearly, just because of the pure physical tools and the ability to throw the ball downfield. I mean, he's just got a cannon for an arm. He is a big kid. When he does run, he's pretty hard to bring down, but he doesn't run all that much. And how does that fit with a Gus offense? And what I would hope they wouldn't do was just go take somebody like DJ Lagway because it's a perceived big name, even if it's not a very good fit for Gus. You know what I mean?
I don't even know if it's. I don't even think it's really that big of a get, man. I think the shine is really off DJ Lagway.
Well, but people know the name, and they know that he is potentially an NFL draft pick if he were to play well.
Yeah,
Look, man, he was supposed to be the number one pick in the draft 5 months ago, and then the season happened. Yeah. I would be hesitant about that. I wouldn't swear it off and say it couldn't work. I mean, it also will be his money year, and guys have a tendency to play harder and play better when it is their money year. Money is like he could be a potential draft pick in the NFL. So, that's a really interesting because I think Calandria is probably a better fit for the offense, but not more talented as a pure football player.
Yeah.
But who cares, man? I would think you'd rather go get a guy that's a better fit for the offense, that's maybe showed a little more toughness in his career than our man DJ. And also isn't coming off a 4-8 season, but actually is coming off a 10-win season, albeit at UNLV. I'm sure Lagway would have done pretty well at UNLV too, facing those defenses. So, yeah, it's still the decision to make, and it's they were here 2 years ago, right? Like they got Tommy pretty quick, but 2 years ago it was like Cam Ward versus DJU. They were both kind of on campus at the same time. One left, one came right after. They offered both. Our DJU had to wait until Cam Ward said he was going pro. Then they I don't know what that will. I don't know what this will entail and how it will go. But we also don't know if there's any other quarterbacks on their radar if one or both of these fall through. I don't know what kind of money Lagway is commanding, or Calandria for that matter. I don't know if Lagway on the portal rankings, if he's considered, I don't know, the 5th best quarterback available, the 9th, the 12th, or where Calandria is too. You can't care about that though, and I don't want them to maybe go overpay for a DJ Lagway because he's ranked 8th in the portal rankings or 7th or something if he's not the right fit. But if you can get guarantees, if he says, look, man, I was banged up, I was hurt all the spring or all summer, this is why I didn't run as much as I probably would in this system. This is why I wasn't comfortable running, or I wasn't comfortable in the system at large. If he can maybe explain why he struggled so much in 2025 and you buy it, then maybe it could work.
Yeah,
but,
I will say
we'll see how that goes, how those conversations go.
What I would maybe hedge with in saying I'd rather have Calandria than Lagway. I mean, you mentioned Dan Mullen's had good offenses with good quarterbacks. He's had good offenses with just anybody too, pretty much. So, I mean, like Nick Fitzgerald is a guy that he figured out a way to get some wins in the SEC with. So he's a bit of a wizard. He's a bit of a quarterback whisperer. I saw somebody on the forum say the upshot of getting Lagway is, especially if he ends up fulfilling his vast potential. He's 6'3", 247, very strong arm. Is that then Mike would get the reputation of being the quarterback whisperer. I don't quite think one of these turnarounds would fit the bill on that, but there is that sort of marketing ability if you're able to make him shine. Corey, sorry. He is 7th, Lagway, 7th best quarterback available. Right behind Josh Hoover from TCU, who I wanted. He's going to Indiana. And then Calandria is 17th.
Yeah. But, I mean, those don't – like, and then what if you ranked them according to what Gus Malzahn runs?
Right.
Who are better fits,
Right, yeah, dual threat guys.
And I was going to say, though, the one thing that I was kind of encouraged by the thought of someone like Calandria is, I'm not going to just say this because they're both white, but Kevin Sperry and Calandria have similar physical traits. They're not that big. They're you know what I mean? They're not freaks. They're not 6'3", 244, either one of them. But they're both mobile. They both are kind of, according to the people that play with Sperry, they just kind of have this not cockiness but swagger about them in the way they play and how much they believe in themselves. And I was wondering, like, wouldn't that be a better person if you think Sperry is the future? Wouldn't it be better to see Calandria learn from a guy that's more like you than some crazy freakazoid that's 250 pounds, which Sperry will never be? So see how you could almost get like a blueprint of what it will look like with Kevin Sperry running it, because he's not Castellanos either. Like Castellanos, similar sized, Sperry's taller, but Castellanos, when he's healthy, is not like Sperry either because he's a running back that throws occasionally. Just crazy quick twitch. That's not really something you could simulate either with Kevin Sperry. I think Calandria is. Calandria is almost like maybe a carbon copy of what Kevin Sperry could be, and maybe you could see what that would look like for a full season as he, gets more mature. And then at this time next year, when you're coming off your, 11-2 season, you don't have to go back in the portal and pay big money because you know that Kevin Sperry, you think he's better than Calandria anyway. He can do the exact same thing Calandria just did. Yeah. Anyway, just a thought, I think you get a better sense of how good Sperry can be if Calandria is running the offense because they are so similar, just body sizes and mobility. Yeah, mobility stylistically, yeah.
Calandria listed at 6 foot even, 205. Sperry listed at 6'1", 208.
Man, sometimes I make good points, right, Aslan? And trust me, I just want to reiterate, not because of skin color, everyone. Literally, it is the body type. It is the body type and the styles of play that they both have.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, located at 2475 Appalachia Parkway, your go-to in all things when it comes to eating delicious food at a reasonable price and hanging out with your friends in the year 2026. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. weekdays, happy hour weekdays, 4 to 7 p.m. it runs. Crazy, huge window to get in there and have some ice cold drinks at a very nice, reasonable price. Bingo on Thursdays, trivia on Tuesdays, everybody. Put it on the social calendar. Meet some new friends. Get out, do something different this year. You'll like it over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Darts, billiards, televisions galore, a jukebox, live music, Corey Clark's presence, the Corey rap, all the things a Florida State fan could want. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. Make your resolution for 2026 be to enhance the reach of your business. Advertise on Wake Up Warchant and reach 20,000 listeners each and every time this show drops across YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and providers everywhere. Local or corporate businesses know the Warchant audience means business. Email radio@warchant.com for sponsorship opportunities today. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by CumminsLifestyle. Give them a follow on Instagram. Portable, reliable, quiet power. They've been doing it for over 100 years. I haven't even looked at the stock price lately, Corey. Makes me depressed. Should have jumped on it 2 years ago.
You should have jumped on it 2 years ago.
Oh, buddy. All right, so let's talk about the JBAs, the Jordan Belfort All-Stars, Corey. At one point, they were leaving, but then...
I'm not leaving!
We mentioned Jabril Rawls. Ashlyn Barker is a guy that we lamented his loss. Yeah. We really like what he brought to the table in 2025. Thought that would have been a tough thing to replace apples to apples, at least in terms of production, but also a guy that had been around the program for several years and had kind of bought into your vision and your culture, if we want to still call it that. Landon Thomas. Yep. That one's surprising to me. That one to me always felt inevitable. Like when we just kind of saw, the way the offense ran and just how important Randy Pittman was to the overall scheme of things. You're like, he's probably going to head out, but he decides to stick around. We haven't gotten anything from Randy, I don't think. Like Randy's gone, right? Like I think he's off the roster and everything. So
maybe, but I haven't seen anything. And I guess I don't follow with a fine-tooth comb. I haven't seen anything about him visiting anywhere.
Yeah.
which is high because he's he's not a huge name, but he's he's been productive for 3 years of college. You think he'd be wanting to go sell his services somewhere, and you haven't heard any of him making any visits to anywhere.
Well, here we go.
Because Edwin Joseph, I know, is at Texas.
Edwin Joseph's everywhere. By the way, Pittman was actually at Auburn on Sunday. He's apparently going to be visiting SMU in South Carolina as well.
Oh, there you go. See, I told you guys I didn't follow with a fine-tooth comb.
Well, I just had
That's
to
not
pull
even
it
the
up
right
on
thing
my-
to say.
I had to pull it up on
But
my-
okay, well, there you go. So Pittman, yes, is gone, I guess. We'll see.
Yeah, no.
But it would seem to be that he was, which is just good luck, man. I don't get it. I don't get. You go to South Carolina.
More money, man. I mean, this is what it's. Listen, even if he ends up coming back here, when we take him with arms wide open, I don't know even if it's a dirty little secret anymore, Corey. These guys get paid to visit now. Like these transfers, they get paid to come visit. Listen, I don't know if it's on the ledger. I don't know if this is part of like the budget they're allowed to use on rev share, but listen, man, it is widely known within these recruiting circles. These guys get paid money just to show up and make visits. At least these higher end guys. So
yeah, I don't know that Pittman falls in that category. I
would
don't know
think
Auburn's paying him a lot to. It's not like that's going to give your class some.
But
or
he would be your
coaching
starting
staff.
tight end probably. I mean, he would start at Auburn, SMU, and South Carolina, I think.
No, I think they'd take him. I think they'd pay for his visit. I don't know if they're going to give him a check just for showing up to look at the football
Well,
facility.
you'd be surprised, Corey. This is a
get
weird
maybe.
world we live in now.
That's a dumb use of money.
It's the way they do. But yeah, so Pittman, Joseph, but we can talk about the guys that are coming back. I mean, Barker, and then listen, the Earl Little thing is something to keep an eye on. I think Matt had heard some rumblings. I think Earl took down his NFL draft intention posts on social. So that'll be interesting too, because a lot of people are like, fine, good. You weren't anything after the Alabama game. And it's like, stop being so emotional, everybody. He is an above average.
Yep.
To say the most conservative estimation of what Earl Little is, he's an above average safety. Why not keep him in the fold if you can? So Landon Thomas, Earl Little, Ashlyn Barker, and then obviously we mentioned Jabril Rawls. It feels weird, Corey, dress it up for me a little bit. We are celebrating the return of guys that we did like and we do think are important to helping you win. But ultimately, these are all pieces of a 5-7 football team by and large.
Well, yeah, that's one way to look at it. I think you could say they're not the reason they lost 7 times, though. But you could maybe look at it. They're the reasons they won the 5 games. You've got to get better players to go along with this collection. Maybe you're cutting some of the dead weight and adding some more live weight to have a better football team. Ashlyn Barker and Jabril Rawls, that's just a good start, man. Yeah. Barker, again, NFL body, NFL prototype kind of safety body, and was productive at times. I don't think he's as surefire as Rawls, but those are 2 starters that would come back that are coming back to your secondary that are proven to be good college football players. Rawls may be an exceptional college football player. Barker at least looks the part and played the part at times this year, and he's got experience in this defense now. You don't have to teach somebody new things. You've got guys returning that I think have real ability. So that's a good start. Again, we'll see with Earl Little, but just having Barker and Rawls is a nice start. Landon Thomas, we'll see. Pittman's gone.
His time then.
Exactly. And it's like, man, if not now, never. You are in an offense where they will, if they like their tight end enough, they'll let him play quarterback. You're not going to find that in any other place, man. And that's why I'm so confused about Pittman. Great, man. You're going to get a few extra $1,000s. Maybe it's a ton. Maybe his stock has gone through the roof with those 24 catches or whatever he had. But I can't imagine he's getting, 4th round money to go be a tight end somewhere. Meanwhile, he could stay at Florida State and get to play quarterback. So it's just bizarre. And with a coach that he knows likes him and will play him and that he fits in that offense. So that's a bizarre thing for me to do. But again, I have no idea. Maybe they told him to go. Maybe they're like, no, we're only going to give you $1,000. Or you like your scholarship, right? Because that's all you're getting. I don't know what those negotiations were. It seems odd to me. But what that does do is we know Landon Thomas has some talent. Randy Pittman's a football player, though. That's what I like about Randy Pittman. That dude, I know he had a couple bad drops. That dude is a guy that will go get you. He makes that catch against Virginia. He'll get you 3 yards when you need 2. He can block. He can run. He can get into the end zone from a yard away. He threw a little jump pass. He's just a football player, man. And you need those dudes. You need guys like that on your football team. Landon Thomas has proven to be a talented dude, but not a football player yet. Not a guy that goes and makes football plays. He barely played this past year. So now's his time. Like, if he's coming back, if he came back because he thinks he's going to have a real opportunity to start, well, go earn it, young man, and go be good. We know it's in there. We've seen some flashes of that potential. Well, go prove us all right. And go prove Mike Norvell right and Chris Thompson right, and go be a really good all ACC caliber tight end, because I think that's in there. It's in him. But he just, especially this past year, just didn't prove it at all. Could barely get on the field. Even when Randy Pittman got hurt, he could barely get on the field. So hopefully whatever switch needs to be flipped, has been, and Landon Thomas can be the guy if Pittman indeed does stay in the portal and doesn't come back.
Yeah,
but I do like that Barker and Rawls news.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's big stuff. Yeah.
And I'm not even going to play the whole, are these the people you want to build around, people that threaten to leave and then end up coming back to you? I get it. This is all, I don't know how much more money they got out of it, but listen, you're free to decide you want to leave and then maybe change your mind for whatever reason. I'm fine with that. I don't think it portends of these guys being malcontents or not totally bought in. It's a little bit maybe disconcerting. Again, these are guys that, like, you recruited kind of day one, brought them into your system, and you stuck with them and believed in them. And then once they finally show how good they are, they're like, well, hey, I'm going to try to bounce and see what I can get out there. But they're back. That's all that matters. Earl Little is still on the roster. That actually is a thing right now. I mean, Pittman is not on the roster. Guys like Lucas Simmons, who have already entered the portal, are not on the roster. So the door definitely sounds like it is. Is
DJ Lagway on the roster?
Not yet, buddy. Not yet. Check out Warchant.com and see how his. Maybe we'll have a photo of his arrival on Sunday night on the board. You guys can all check it out or whatever. But so the portal is open now officially. It's been open for a few days, January 2nd. And when does it close? The 15th? Is that right? Am I making that up?
16th, maybe?
16th?
15th or 16th, yeah.
So again, you can still end up finding a home, and I think grad transfers can enter at any point. Should probably check that out before I said that out loud, but I'm pretty sure, because I was watching Thamel on McAfee, and he was talking about the portal being smaller now. It's going to be even much more crazy because there's only this one window. There isn't a spring window, and he mentioned, but I still think grad transfers will have some movement later on. So Florida State has been hosting some folks, mainly guys from the state of Florida who have gone elsewhere, although John Walker only went down the interstate to UCF, but he's a defensive lineman, interior guy that apparently they were after straight out of high school. He ends up committing to UCF. He did make his first visit to Florida State. He did not commit, which this is another tricky thing too, Corey, because in the NFL, and I'm going to ask John Garrett this later on Monday, but in the NFL, when you're a free agent and you go to the facility and you leave without signing a contract, you're 9 out of 10 times you're not signing with that team. You're going to end up going another tryout and signing with that team like mid-season. But when you are compensated to draw this thing out, when you're incentivized to draw this thing out, and hey, we'll give you 10 grand. Just come check us out, man. Just come check us out for one day. We'll pay for everything. We'll give you 10 grand cash. Come on out, check everything out. It's like, all right, that's not bad. I'll do that. Ohio State is a school that he's going to go kick the tires on. So that's a little bit of a little. Calandra is going to Georgia Tech. You feel okay about that. And then the first commitment Florida State got out of the portal is Nehemiah Chandler, who played high school football in both Jacksonville and then later in Tallahassee. So this is a guy that went to Georgia Tech out of high school, dropped down to Group of 6, South Alabama, had a pretty productive year, played a whole bunch of games, whole bunch of snaps, and then commits to Florida State. It feels like maybe they have a profile of what they want to do. I don't know if this is just happenstance or coincidence. We'll get Matt Lucero on the show later in the week. I told him to take a day off, Corey, but what do you think about them? It seems like they're identifying guys because, again, I don't think it's all about money. It's very important, the money, but when you're dealing with kids that are from the state of Florida that are playing elsewhere outside of it, especially a guy like Calandria, Chandler's in Mobile, Alabama, listen, man, you can come closer to home, good program, back in the state of Florida, and then you probably, I wouldn't say hometown discount, Corey, but you probably don't have to get into these crazy kind of bidding wars with these guys. So I wonder if this is the sort of strategy, at least for now, temporarily, or the entire way through the portal, about really identifying value, and value for them is going to be kids from the state of Florida that were playing at lesser programs. And they're probably not going to be in the high cotton of nabbing guys that were starting at, Georgia and Texas and places like that.
I wonder. But you're talking about guys that are from the state of Florida, like that went elsewhere.
Yeah.
But doesn't that just make perfect sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Like-
one of those advantages built in, man. Again, it's the Bobby
Right.
Bowden effect. That's how you kept Duce Robinson, and you're going to be able to get a lot of these guys just because you're located in this state at this great program.
So use it.
Yeah.
Use it. Now, the way they've used it, or the way they're using it right now, obviously isn't necessarily the way. It's not the only way to use it. You also need to use it in high school recruiting too. Like you use your advantage. You should always have a really good class because there's always a lot of really good players within a few hundred miles of you. Always. And they're in your state, and they want to stay in your state. And hey, there's no state income tax. That should be a plus for that. Miami, Florida, and Florida State are all selling. There's no state income tax for these NIL deals. I assume they pay taxes, right?
I think, yeah.
Right, but is it a check? I guess either way. I don't know how that works, but I assume because they're not employees, but it is income, I guess. So anyway, I don't know exactly how all that works.
We're not CPAs.
Yeah, we don't know. So that's smart. You absolutely need to do that. You need to go get guys from the state of Florida that have shined elsewhere and maybe want to come back home. It's probably a smart thing to do. Also, you look around. I wonder how much these. We haven't talked about it yet, but what Indiana did to Alabama was maniacal. I don't. Here's one of the things I wanted to bring up from that game. It was early on in that game. I don't know how much you watched. It got away from Alabama and Ty Simpson there pretty quickly. But it was early on in the game, and Alabama inexplicably went for it pretty early on, like 4th and 1 from their own 34, when I think it was only 3-0. And kid gets hit in the hole. The Alabama running back gets hit in the hole. But he kind of spins off it a little bit and is backing towards the first down marker, is going to get it. He is pushed through the initial tackler, and his momentum is going to carry him past the first down marker. And then all of a sudden, this other linebacker comes smashing in at full speed and knocks him straight backwards towards Ty Simpson, and he doesn't get it. It was a really good play by the initial tackler, but he didn't wrap him up in time to get to the first down. But his buddy played with all that speed and urgency, came in and knocked him backwards and kept him from getting the first down. That doesn't take talent. That was not a Texas transfer that made that play for Indiana. That was a kid, I'm going to guess, was from Evansville or Kent State or somewhere, wherever they get these guys from. And now Indiana is now fishing in a deeper pond if you looked at the transfers they got on Sunday. They got the TCU quarterback. They got a Michigan State wide receiver. They got a Kansas State defensive end. But these guys on this current team aren't those guys. But when you play that hard and you play that physical, that's what you got to go find if you're Florida State. I know you're maybe not – Indiana's coached at an unbelievable level, but I thought Fowler said something interesting. And the point I was making of all this is I wonder if Indiana becomes the blueprint. Like, you don't have to go – and I know Indiana spends money on their roster, but they're not spending Texas or Ohio State money. He's really good at developing and evaluating talent, clearly, and the guys that he works with. But they, go look at that roster, man. They don't have a bunch of huge kids from huge schools that came there. But what they do is, Chris Fowler said this during the game, and I guess it's been something that a lot of coaches have commented about Indiana, that defense is they are block destructors. They just don't stay blocked. They destroy blocks. Is that something you just are born with? Is that something that can be taught? Or do you have to go recruit those kind of players? Because you wonder if a guy like a South Alabama cornerback, does he bring that with him? Or is that something that's instilled when Tony White is coaching him? I don't know, but I think when you look at the Indiana team, and look at all these teams that are left, I know Miami has some high-priced talent. They're not all high-priced. It's got to be a collection of good college football players with some great. Indiana, I don't know, other than the quarterback, has great college football players. But they have a lot of really good ones. And maybe this South Alabama kid fits that bill. So the point being, you're not going to be overloaded with a bunch of 5-star super duper. You're not going to get the 10 highest ranked guys in the portal. But you can go find a collection of dudes, starting with this, and I only keep bringing up South Alabama because he's the first portal addition so far, that you give yourself a chance with competent, good college football players, and then try not to screw it up. Obviously, this past year they screwed it up. But put together a roster that while it won't be foolproof, if you're not a fool, you can win some games with. And again, Robinson and Rawls and Barker is a start. This kid at South Alabama was like the 30th highest graded cornerback in the country. Now, I know he's playing at South Alabama, but his coverage ranking was like I think he was an 82, which I'm almost positive would have been first at Florida State. Again, he's not facing, Virginia and Miami, but he's a guy that's proven he's leveled up. He's leveled up. He's better than South Alabama. Hopefully that's the start of a lot of guys like that maybe aren't super-duper stars, because I don't know how many of those guys are going to be in the portal, but they're going to be good additions that we look back a year from now and be like, yeah, man, the Nehemiah Chandler kid was a really big pickup. Kind of unheralded, but ended up being a really big pickup. Kind of like, I know it took a few years, but Jarian Jones, who, by the way, congrats to all the Jacksonville fans out there.
Duval.
Yeah, man, represent. Are they going to be the 1? Or I guess they're going to be the 2 seed because the Broncos.
Patriots. Oh, yeah.
Or the Patriots, too. Or the Jags might be 3, yeah.
So those two players, the initial contact was made by Isaiah Jones. He just went to a random high school in Ohio. He's been in Indiana his whole career. And then Elijah Hardy, who's actually from Lakeland. He's the one that came and cleaned up and made sure that the guy didn't make it past the first down marker. 5'11", 229 from Lakeland. So those are the players. And
they're both from Indiana? They both started?
They're both players. They were involved on that play that you were mentioning. Yeah. Jones made the initial penetration and got the guy stalled out, and then Hardy came in and cleaned him up. So I'll see what they were. Let me see what Isaiah Jones was ranked as a recruit. But she's not.
You looked that up while I was talking? Aslan, you're the best, buddy.
I'm trying to get a little bit better. He was a 3-star. He was the 96th linebacker in the country, 945th overall prospect. The kid who made the initial contact, Isaiah Jones.
Okay, all right. But the kid that cleaned it up, and then when you watch Indiana play defense, and I've only watched them a couple of times, they look like they're better, but they look like what Florida State did against Alabama, which was so disappointing that it just disappeared. But they rally to the football like a bunch of rabid dogs. I mean, they are ferocious. And again, that doesn't take talent. It takes talent to make plays necessarily to get to the running back, but it doesn't take talent to try really hard and to run as fast as possible and try to impose physicality when you get there. That's what you've got to do. I am of the opinion that Kurt Cignetti is one of the best football coaches that's ever lived. I don't think that's a recency bias. I don't think people understand that, it's not like he's working with Ohio State's roster or Alabama's roster. These guys were not – you just mentioned he was the 945th recruit in the country. He's starting in the semifinals, and they have probably the best defense left. Maybe not probably. They do have the best defense left. It just doesn't make sense. But it should give everyone hope. It should give everyone hope.
What do you think about running back, Corey? That's a position that Florida State, we're getting a lot of reports that they're after guys. Wisner from Texas, who actually, CJ Baxter, who's from the state of Florida, he's also entered the portal. He was absolutely dynamic in the first few games of 2024, but then he blew his knee out. And then Wisner took over, ran for over 1,000 yards. He entered the portal. Apparently, there's some mutual interest between he and Florida State. There's a report out there. Evan Pryor from Cincinnati, running back, Florida State, UCLA in the mix for him. And then Hollywood Smothers from NC State was a guy that was one of the first players that we reported, I think, over on Warchant.com and On3, was one of the first guys that Florida State was kind of identifying. He's a running back. He's committed elsewhere, I think. So he's off the board. But, our guy Roydell's gone. Keziah is still on the roster, but so are all the sixth-year guys, too, which is weird. They dropped the transfer people. So if you go back and look at the roster in 20 years, will you know that Randy Pittman was on the 2025 Florida State team if you look at Seminoles.com? I don't know these answers, everybody, but it's going to keep me up on Monday night, I bet you, everybody. But it seems like they're really making a concerted effort to go after a running back. Sawchuck is a guy that left as well. Yeah. You lost Cam Davis, but you got Croma, you got Sam Singleton. You brought in Amari Thomas as a high school recruit. I know he's a little smaller bodied, but I guess it makes sense to go after running back. What do you think about that seemingly being one of the positions they're really kind of targeting when, I know everyone's talking about, obviously, quarterback. This offensive line needs to be addressed. We haven't really seen a lot of names on offensive line and some edge rushers as well.
Yeah, man, I would not I would imagine a starting running back from Texas would be too costly for Florida State to pursue. Not that you need to be cheap, but I just think you've got bigger needs elsewhere. I think you've got Cromaw still here. You've got Sam Singleton. Those are guys that theoretically should be good for you. You've got another true freshman coming in that you like. And I would go the NFL model, man. You don't, it's not that running backs are all interchangeable. That's not true. But I do think in Gus's offense, typically, he'll find one guy or two guys. They're going to run the ball. Like Tommy was their leading rusher this year, and they still finished again, top 20 in the country in rushing. So they're going to run the ball no matter who the running back is. Now, the difference between maybe 7 wins and 10 wins is having a great running back. If you could go get one that doesn't break the bank, sure. But I would like to know who the quarterback is going to be first before I go deciding to go get like a Texas running back and spend the kind of money that I would think they would be asking for. Because I do like Cromaw. I think I like him more than Gus does. Because I would have played him more, but I do like Cromaw, and I was encouraged by what I saw from Singleton this year. I thought that was I'll be honest, I never thought he was going to be a factor at Florida State. There were some things about his running style, most notably to me early on in his career, was his vision or lack thereof, but he showed some real ability, I thought, in those 2 games. Inexplicably, he became the feature back. And I don't say inexplicably like he's not good, just like he came out of nowhere, and there was no explanation. Therefore, inexplicable. So Cromaw, Singleton, and the freshmen, you don't need 6 running backs, man. I don't know if that was the problem this year or not, as they had so many guys. They felt they all should get 4 carries a game. But you don't need 6, but you do need more than 3. So we'll see where that goes. I would never, and I'm not saying they're doing this, I would never go get a big-name running back or a running back that's started at a big school and pay a lot of money before I have defensive line and quarterback locked up. Those are way more important in my opinion. And as far as I know, they don't. We have no idea what they're going to be doing at defensive line, and I just think that needs to be after quarterback. And maybe they're knocking that out first, which makes sense. We still got 11 more days of this. I would think you get quarterback done, and then you figure out defensive line, and you'll get some guys. Running back can wait, in my opinion.
Probably go offensive line after I get my quarterback figured out, which they should. I would think they're going to know by the end of this week, because Calandria is going to Georgia Tech, and again, that might just have been a courtesy visit or a cash visit.
Well, don't you think? And maybe I'm wrong, but don't you think if Florida State wants Calandria and it becomes between Florida State or Georgia Tech, I would assume he's going to choose Florida State. I know Georgia Tech's had a better record the last 2 years. It's still Georgia Tech compared to Florida State, and Florida is home. So I would think if Florida State wants Calandria, they can get Calandria. I don't think they'll get into a bidding war with Georgia Tech or have to. I also don't think Georgia Tech's going to spend a ton of money on a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like I would think if Florida State wants the guy, if they want that guy, they're going to get him. Just like Castellanos last year.
Well, why slow play it then, man? I
don't think they're 100% on board with taking him. I don't think they're like
because DJ Lagway.
I guess, or maybe there's somebody else that we haven't heard about that they're thinking might be a real possibility. That's what I think he's like the safety school in case the other 2 don't work out.
So I was wondering so Georgia Tech, they lost Buster Faulkner. He went to Gainesville.
Yeah, they didn't give it to Chris Winkie. They let Chris Winkie call the plays in the bowl game, but didn't let him be the OC for the 2026 season.
George Godsey.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? So he's the OC now. I mean, he doesn't really have he's been a tight ends coach, I think.
He's the tight ends coach at the Ravens. So, Again, if you're Calandria, everything being equal or close to equal.
He's a former quarterback, though, so he might be able to play that up a little bit. Like, hey, I'm a former quarterback. I know what you need. I know.
But you have no idea what he's going to run or want to run. There's literally nothing that he can show you to say, this is what my offense is.
Right.
He can tell you, but there's nothing on film because he's been the tight ends coach for the Ravens. And I don't know where he was before that. Meanwhile, Gus Malzahn has 20 years. This is what my offense looks like. This is how you fit in. Look at this throw that Tommy could have made that you will make, and it would be another 70 yards on your passing.
You need to be part of the sales pitch, the presentations of the quarterbacks. Like, they need to do everything. Like, before you leave, need you to go through that second door on the left.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here. And he opens the door, and it's just pitch dark. He's like, hello? Hello, and then you just turn on the video projector, and the reel starts spinning. Have a seat, sir. I want you to look at the screen right here. 2nd and 12. We're in three wide over here. We got wide open on the boundary. And then you're like, miss the throw. I think you can make it. And you just keep going through all the plays, showing the ones that were the
But
missed.
not only that, I go, okay, where was the ball right here? That's at the 28-yard line. So if he hits Danzy on this post, which he should have, and you will, is that going to be a touchdown? Yes, sir. And I don't know why he's calling me sir. Yeah. Well, I'm going to come off as an authoritative
there
figure.
We go. That's right.
And so he has no idea who I am. So he's going to think I'm important. And I'll be like, yeah, damn right, sir. Thanks, Calandria. Anyway, so he catches it at the 50. Is anybody going to catch Mekhi Danzy when you hit him in the chest at the 50? No, sir. Okay, well, that's 72 yards. Write that down in your note. Okay, let's move on to this play.
Yeah.
That's Squirrel White running scot-free 5 yards behind the nearest defender. Where was the line of scrimmage? The 41. Okay, you're going to make that throw. That's an extra 59 yards on your – write that down. And then at the end of the session, which will probably be 45 minutes, I'm going to have him add it all up. He's a kid. I know he can't do real math anymore, so he's going to have his calculator on his phone. He's going to add it all up, and tell me how many yards extra that you would have passed for in this offense. Oh, 880 in 11 touchdowns? Add that to what Tommy Castellanos did. Now you're in New York for the Heisman. That's how I sell it. Look at all these plays we left out there because our quarterback couldn't make the layup throw. Now, he could say, well, yeah, can you run the plays where it was 3rd and 3 and he ran for 5 yards just because he's crazy athletic? And I'm like, quit bringing up old stuff, Anthony. Get out of here. We don't need to hear that. You're an athlete too, buddy. But, yeah, I'd be all about that. I'd be all about that life. I think I could really sell what you could do in this offense if you could just throw a pass and hit people in the chest.
So I'm at the register the other day checking out. I pull out my wallet. My credit card nearly shot out. It was like dangling for dear life. It made me think if I would have pulled it out in a different sort of orientation, my card probably falls out. What if I didn't notice? Then I've got to report my lost card. I have to wait for a new credit card. I got to put all new information in my computer when I'm buying stuff online now. It would have been a disaster. Clearly it was time for a new wallet. Enter the Ridge wallet. This thing is made with aluminum. It's smooth, everybody. Compact design, holds up to 12 cards, and if you're weird like me and you still carry cash, it's all good. It's got a built-in strap to hold the doll hairs. The Ridge wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. Literally, lifetime warranty. It could be the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. Give it a try during a 99-day risk-free trial. I think you'll stick with it. I did. Ridge is having their annual anniversary sale. Get the biggest savings of the year at ridge.com/wakeup. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/wakeup. After purchase, it'll ask you where you heard about them. Tell them, wake up! Ridge.com/wakeup.
We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by CumminsLifestyle. Give it a follow on Instagram. Get involved in the mailbag and get an entry into an ultimate tailgate package for you and some buddies. All courtesy of our friends over at Cummins. Home game of your choice. You pick. You're in control, everybody. You have the power. Talked to our guy during commercial break, Matt Lasser. So Quintravious, I think it's Quintravious, Wisner, Q, we're going to call him Q. Wisner, the running back that we mentioned in the previous segment, he was supposed to arrive on Sundays, push it to later today on Monday. He's supposed to arrive late. So Florida State in the mix for him. So that's pretty cool. George Godsey was offensive assistant for the Patriots in 2011, tight ends coach, quarterbacks coach for the Texans. Was a defensive assistant and special projects coach for the Lions. Yeah. Coached the quarterback for the Lions. He's been a journeyman. Also on campus, offense, position of need, question mark? I don't know. Xavier Townsend. Again, he fits the kind of mold here, Corey. He's a guy who is from the state of Florida, played at UCF. He was at Iowa State this past season, caught 18 for 243, was not able to find pay dirt. I hate that. I hate pay dirt. Such a weird word.
It is. You're right.
He did rush for a touchdown, though. 5 carries, 18 yards, and a touchdown. 5'11", 195 listed as. He was on campus. He's got the previous relationship with Gus Malzahn and Tim Harris Jr. Did I have a dream, or is Tim Harris Jr. now like the co-OC? Did that happen?
I think that's what he was named. I think he got a new title. I'm not great with titles, but he got a new title, so maybe he was promoted to that too.
Yeah, so
wouldn't that be funny if him and Malzahn were like just barking at each other on the sidelines during the game?
So he's got some special teams gears in him apparently as well. There was also a kid from Virginia Tech, last week that said he was planning on coming down to visit Florida State that had a little bit of a special teams background. But again, not a Florida background profile. Just it seems to be, again, what they've been kind of identifying early on in the portal. He does plan to visit Notre Dame, Purdue, and Missouri, and then make a decision after those trips, he says. So you're in the mix for, I don't know how he would fit in here. You got Duce back, obviously. You got Mekhi Danzy.
Oh, you talking about the receiver from Vatech?
No, this is one from Iowa State, Xavier Townsend.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the one from Vatech, I think, would just primarily
he's a punt returner. Yeah. He's got 11 catches in his career.
Yeah, which also, though, it's like, man, Jalen Lucas was everything as a returner, and at least we'll get that out of him at least, right? Even if we can't figure out a way to get him yards from scrimmage, we can get him, all-purpose yards and not.
Also, I wouldn't bring on anyone to this team specifically to catch punts.
Yes.
By the way,
like
we
it's
mentioned
like a kicker
that
in 1993 right now, right? Like you are Scott Bentley. We need to find the next Scott Bentley. We need to find that sure thing.
But every school in America has guys that can just flat out catch punts.
We watched the playoff this weekend. I didn't see a lot of guys like struggling. It was very.
It's a very Florida State specific, but you've just got to find a guy. That's why B.J. Gibson, I thought, would have been better at it because he's just used to tracking balls in the air because he's an outfielder, but he's now a full-time baseball player. But yeah, man, I wouldn't. I know you have 105 spots, and if the kid wants to come, that's fine. I would rather find someone that already plays a position and can impact either offense or defense, and then, can go catch a punt, like Florida State has kind of done for the last 45 years, the last 5 or 6, really the last 10, then go get someone specific to do that. Me personally, because I'm not excited. It maybe be awesome in this offense. I don't know. I'm just not excited about adding anyone out of the portal that has 11 or 12 career catches in 3 seasons. Like, he couldn't even catch passes for that Virginia Tech offense. So, fine, great. He probably doesn't cost a lot. I don't know. I'd rather have a guy that can also help me score touchdowns when we actually have the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how exactly Townsend would fit into the plans they have on offense. But again, he was at UCF
but what did he
for
do?
7 years.
What did he do at Iowa State? What were his numbers?
18 for 243.
As a wide receiver.
Yeah.
What year is he?
Played in 8 games. He's going to be a senior. Unless maybe this. So he played in 22 at UCF. He played in 23, 24 at UCF, and they played at Iowa State. I don't have his game log in front of me right now for 2022. Maybe he was able to preserve a red shirt and maybe got some action in 2022. Nope, he played in more than 4 games in 2022. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. So you do have a game log.
Oh, now I do. I didn't have it at that right instant, So.
Gotcha.
Just not a. I don't know if he's a speed demon, but if you're a speed demon, you're probably catching more than 18 for 243 to Iowa State. That's a good quarterback, Rocco Becht. So, very curious. I really wish, we're going to speak to obviously a lot of important people later today. I just wonder what is in Gus's head. Like, what is he looking for? Going after guys that he's already coached. Maybe it's just a familiarity thing, and maybe there's a value in that. But it'd be nice if maybe there was some more kind of dynamic guys there in the mix for. But hey, listen, Wisner's a running back that again from Texas, so that's a win. And I don't know how big of a need a receiver is because again, I've totally forgot about Lewayne McCoy, and I apologize, Lewayne McCoy. And that's the thing. Like I like Duce, Lewayne, and Danzy a lot. I think that's a really good 3 receiver set. So,
but Lewayne is hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something. I mean, I shouldn't say a lot. It's only been 2 years, but he's had a hard time staying on the field, and you do need bodies in case, injuries happen because they always do. So it would be nice to have somebody that's proven that can play in your offense. And what's interesting is I did go back and look at Xavier Townsend's game log, and it looks like, you're not going to believe this, but in 2020, he got hurt in 2024. He only played 4 games. But in 2023, he had 33 catches for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's fine. He also had 15 carries for 163 yards.
Yeah.
So they're kind of running him like
poor man's
Danzy / Jalen Lucas type.
Yeah.
And then the next year, in the 4 games he played for Gus at UCF, he had 10 for 69 receiving and 12 for 88 rushing. He had 4 carries for 51 yards in a game.
My jet motion Prince.
Yep.
It sounds like. Yeah.
So that's what Gus is looking for. He's comfortable with them. Probably doesn't cost a ton. His coach already left. So it would be some familiarity of a guy that can do kind of Jalen Lucas-esque things, maybe, is what he's thinking of.
Speaking of coaches being gone, that's the only thing that's going to allow you to get back in the portal after it closes on the 16th. So even grad transfers, Corey, it's everybody, man. Everybody. This is it. You can only put your name in. You don't have to commit somewhere, but you can only put your name in through that window. So that gives us hopefully some clarity. Also, John Papuchis, maligned within the circles of Florida State fans on the internet and elsewhere, landed on his feet in Missouri. So seems like what? Chris Thompson is the only holdover, if you want to call that, from the original staff.
Is that right?
I think so, right? Like Kenny gone, Alex Atkins gone, Yak's gone.
Fuller.
Yeah, I don't even, who was the receivers coach when he first got here? It wasn't Dugans, was it?
I think so.
Was it Dugans the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gone. Yeah, Fuller obviously gone. Sertan's gone, although Sertan wasn't here originally. Marv, what was the dude that TJ Rushing was here for a week and then he left us? Marcus Woodson.
The guy that went to Florida for he was here for half a second about 5 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Brandon Harris.
There you go. That's right. The Harris brothers.
So continuity, not a thing, but whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to get continuity anymore. I'm not saying that's good or bad or given a pass, but and I also don't think people are really upset about Papuchis.
No.
He was a target for a lot of people, and rightfully so. I mean, his job is special teams coordinator, and they never looked all that coordinated, did they? So, I mean, somebody's going to take the blame for that. Eventually, obviously it's the head coach first, but then his position coach second. So, and also the linebackers weren't good at all this year, although it was his first year coaching them. And the linebackers haven't been. I mean, Bethune, and by the way, shout out again to Tatum Bethune. Had a sack on
and
Saturday
Renardo
night.
Green, man.
Yeah.
Niners got gobs of production out of those two.
Fisk and Verse, just crazy the amount of Jerry and Jones, like we already talked about. Kevin Noles playing for the Chiefs, just a pretty loaded 2023 defense there.
I was going to say something about Papuchis. You need to remind me when we're at kickoff in July. Feel free, dear listener, to remind me of it as well. When I do the speed round with a Florida State player, and hopefully it'll be somebody that was here this past season and 2024. We'll see, though. Who knows? Maybe it'll be all these new guys they went and got. But I'm going to go through the speed round, ask them all the fun, silly questions. And then the last question, I'm going to be like, look me in the eyes and tell me that you guys dedicated the same amount of time to special teams in 2025 that you did the previous years you were here. That's because I'm not trying to defend John Papuchis. I mean, he's a nice guy. Everybody I think that's been here and has left has been a nice guy. So we can, remove that from our discourse when it comes to talking about this football program. But I'd be hard pressed to imagine that they continue to hammer it. I know Mike said that they did. I can't. That's the only way it can make sense to me is that they had to have been like, Gus is like, this is crazy, man. 2 periods max, and then we got to get back out there and run 2 minute.
Yeah, he's like, he had to be like, we're not good enough at anything to devote 35 minutes to this. Plus, Mike, how many guys are going to return a kick against this all year? Oh wait, 2. There were 2 return kicks all season long. What are we doing this for? Which is fair. And I was thinking about that. It would be nice if college went to the NFL rules. You know what I mean? Like I like getting to watch kick returns. Yeah. And in college football, they're almost non-existent. I should look up how many Florida State had and how many Florida State had against them because I really think Weinberg it was a touchback on all but 2 of them. But anyway, you keep talking, Aslan.
I'll look it up. Well, we're winding down. The only last things to talk about really is the playoff. Miami's still alive. I know it's got a lot of people anxious. That Ole Miss Georgia game was awesome, but the Indiana game was pretty gross. But I mean, that's the only thing on my mind. And also, just let's kind of get down to brass tacks here. We have a sense of the profile of guy that they've been speaking with and have brought on campus for quarterback. Is anybody going to be enough to? I mean, listen, what Duce gave you a nice shot in the arm right as the portal opened. I mean, it's it's hard to ask him to do anything other than, what he did and get in front of, some Seminole production content and get it posted on social media about how happy he is to be back and his excitement for 2026. But like you were hoping, man, that was a nice carrot to dangle out there in the free agent market to get a quarterback. And again, Colton Joseph from Old Dominion committed to Wisconsin. You're dealing with Calandria and you're dealing with DJ Lagway. Just I don't know if any of those guys particularly. And you mentioned maybe that's the blessing in disguise. They don't need to spend big on a quarterback. They don't need Sam Levitt. They don't need Brendan Sorsby. He's gone to Texas Tech. Save there, spend elsewhere. But quarterback is it's so important, Corey. But I don't know, maybe not to put words in your mouth, but you saw enough to earlier in this show today. Like you saw enough in 2025 that if you bring a quarterback that's just a little bit better than Tommy when it comes to accuracy and has some of that athleticism, and Calandria definitely fits the bill. I don't know about Lagway though, that, you are an 8-9 win team and you're contending and jockeying to make it to Charlotte. And that should be good enough.
Yeah, man, I think there were quarterbacks that you played this season. The Heinschel kid, obviously Chandler Morris. I don't know. There's probably
Ashton Daniels is another guy too. Sorry, Corey. Quarterback.
Yeah.
He was originally at Stanford, went to Auburn, couldn't beat out Jackson Arnold, but apparently has some mutual interests as well. So these are, I guess, the profile, the level of of guy that you're kind of after right now. Not overly impressive, but I like Landry. Maybe I'm just convincing myself about it. But
yeah, but the point I was going to make is that there are plenty of guys that are mobile enough for this offense. You don't need the best running quarterback in the country to come run this thing.
And you didn't get that for more than one game this year, really.
You got it for about 3 weeks, in my opinion. And then after that, you didn't have that anyway. And you still, every game, moved the ball a lot. You just didn't have a good enough quarterback inside the 20, inside the red zone on third down occasionally that could make the throws that you absolutely needed to make or the plays you need to make, see it quick enough, whatever his deficiencies were. You didn't have that when you desperately needed it. But you got enough from the offense as a whole that if you had a better quarterback, you win multiple more games. And I think that you look around the country, there are a lot of guys that could fit into this system where it is a plus that you don't need to go get a Carson Beck. Now, look, Carson Beck's 2 wins from a flipping national championship. But and I can't believe Georgia lost that game the way they lost it. It just still infuriates me. Not because I'm a Georgia fan, but because I think that Georgia would have had a much better chance to beat Miami than Ole Miss will. That's just what I think. I think Kirby would have won that game. I don't trust Pete Golding to win that game. So Miami, I'm thinking it's going to be Miami in the championship game against either Indiana or Oregon. What a time to be alive.
You don't want Gunnar Stockton scanning the field and throwing the ball on third down when you're just trying to bleed some clock.
Yeah, and Kirby's so the ones that don't know, I'll do it real quick. Oh, let me make the point though. But in the quarterback portal, yeah, man, you don't have to go get the Sorsby kid or Sam Levitt who's visiting LSU because your offense doesn't need that. That's the plus of the offense. The negative is you're never going to get a great NFL-type quarterback for a system like this. But you can get one that's plenty good enough to go win a bunch of games. I truly believe that. I do believe that. And I don't know if Ashton Daniels is the guy, if Calandria is the guy, or Lagway is the guy, or if it's some guy we're not even talking about that just fits the offense better. But you get a good fit for this offense, like a Plumlee. Plumlee's not an NFL quarterback, far from it. But he was good enough to lead them to 9 wins and back-to-back seasons. The John Rice Plumlee that played at UCF for a couple years. You can go get something like that. The problem is your ceiling is only so high. But the floor should be raised even more than it was this year. So then you're not looking at another disaster. So that's what gives me hope that you won't have to go spend for Sam Levitt. Now, if Sam Levitt wanted to come to Florida State, that'd be awesome. And I'd spend whatever it took because he's an NFL player. And he's tough and can run. That's another thing. Carson Beck would not be a good fit in this offense. Dante Moore, I don't know. Dante Moore doesn't run at all. So he might not have been a great – which is crazy, right? Like, Dante Moore might be a first-round pick. And then I'm like, would he have been a good fit at Florida State? It's like, well, what kind of offense is this? Would Mendoza have worked out here or not? Mendoza could be the number 1 pick in the draft, and I'm asking myself. So that's the downside to Gus's offense. I get it. That's one of the downsides to it. But the upside is there are going to be plenty of guys out there from like number 7 in the portal rankings to number 25 that can win games here. So hopefully they go find one. But now back to Georgia. So what bothered me so much about it, so they have, I'm going to reset it for everyone. They get second and goal at the 3. Second and goal at the 3 with 1:21 to go. Ole Miss has 1 timeout left, I think. Yeah. So anyway, they have first and goal at the 10. Ole Miss calls a timeout. They only have 2. They call a timeout. Gunnar Stockton runs for 7 yards to make it second and goal 3. Ole Miss burns their last timeout. No, they don't. They burn their second timeout. Sorry. Anyway, let me get to it. Third and goal from the 5 because they lose 2 yards on their second down play. Third and goal from the 5, down 31-28 or 34-31, whatever. They're down by 3. They have the ball at the 5. Ole Miss is out of timeouts. There's 1:109 on the clock.
34-31, Ole Miss is up.
With 1:09 or something on the clock?
Yeah.
If you run, number one, a QB draw, Gunnar Stockton's a good quarterback, and he can will himself into the end zone. He's a tough kid. It's as good a play as you have anyway. It's not like you have something great designed for him to scan his options and find a tight end in the back of the end zone from a shotgun look, a spread look. It just doesn't make any sense anyway. A quarterback draw there is perfect because either he gets it or you milk another 40 seconds off the clock. You kick the game-tying field goal with, 25 seconds left. Ole Miss is out of timeouts.
And Ole Miss has got a kicker that has boomed them that whole night.
He's got a thunderfoot. Yeah. So you run the ball there, hope you get in, and if you don't, you tie the game, and the worst thing that happens is you're going to overtime. The only way you lose in regulation is to throw an incomplete pass and stop the clock on third and goal when they have no timeouts, which is exactly what Mike Bobo / Kirby Smart did. And Kirby Smart defended it and said, we're trying to win the game right there. We're not trying to burn clock. We're not trying to get to overtime. My counter to that would be, even if you complete the pass to go ahead, you have not won the game. There's still a minute left, and they can still come down the field and beat you in regulation. Now, it's going to be hard because they need a touchdown, but they can still do it. The most efficient, effective play to either win the game or go to overtime is to run the ball. The only way you can lose but anyway. So.
And this wasn't second-guessing everybody. This isn't Corey 4 days after the game, telling it. This was live in the group chat.
Like, it's so dumb. No, I tweeted it.
Oh, did you? All right,
I'm like, I group chatted it too, but I also tweeted it. Like, you've got to run a QB draw here. You've got to run a QB draw here, run clock. Yeah. So you guarantee yourself you're the better team, and you either take the lead here on a QB draw, or you go win the game in overtime. The one thing you can't do is tie the game, give them a minute to go essentially 30 yards. Which is all they needed to do because they've got the best kicker in the world, apparently. So anyway, I'm sure he'll miss 2 against Miami, though. He's going to miss the game winner, probably wide right, if we know Miami's luck. And again, though, how crazy is it? And I would say crazy / cool, man. Like, I know that we have a lot of issues with the NIL. I get it. But, man, how cool is it that the Final Four is 3 teams that have never won it, albeit Oregon's been a power here for a while. But Oregon, Ole Miss, and Indiana have never won the national championship. In my lifetime, Ole Miss has never sniffed it, and Indiana certainly hasn't sniffed it in anyone's lifetime. And Miami, who hasn't won one since 2001, and who, if I'm being completely honest, I thought would never get close again because of but then NIL came along and it leveled the playing field. Yeah. It's leveled the playing field. We live in a world where Indiana made Alabama look like a high school football team. Indiana. It was unbelievable what Indiana did. What are we doing here? But it's kind of cool, right? It's not cool from our perspective because Florida State has turned into Indiana the first 50 years of my life, but 46 years of my life. But it is cool that now it seems as open as it's ever been. There's more parity than there's ever been. The SEC, for the second straight year, in my opinion, third straight year really, has been exposed to a certain point that they get all these credit. Like Tennessee, man, missed me with all this. The SEC lost all their bowl games, and Alabama got housed by Indiana. Housed. And they were lucky to be in the field. But they got in and got housed. So the SEC is we're living in a new world now where people need to realize what this is. This is more like the NFL than it's ever been. Next year, I don't know who the favorites win the Seahawks, I guess, are to win the Super Bowl this year. The Seahawks and Broncos are both really good. There's a chance both of those teams next year will be 8-9.
Yeah.
And none of us would be surprised. That's kind of how college football is right now. We know Ohio State and Georgia are always going to be pretty good. I don't know if Indiana's going to win 10 games next year. I don't know if Florida State's going to win 10 games next year. It kind of sucks from where we were in the 90s when you always knew you were cheering for a really good team, or even 10 years ago, you always knew Jimbo would have them as a really good team with a lot of talent. But at the same time, there's always hope that it turns around really quickly because that's what's happening here. Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, they're good, and they're going to be good. Miami was a laughingstock 2 years ago. A laughingstock.
Yeah, 3 years.
Literally, like we were all laughing at them for the Georgia Tech loss.
Oh, yeah, that was 23. You're right.
That's what I meant. It was 2 years
right.
ago.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Sorry.
now they're flipping 2 games away from a national championship. While none of us want that to happen, does kind of speak to where we are in college football now, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the sport that it's not always Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame / Oregon / somebody else in the Final Four. We've got 3 teams that have never won it, and 1 team that won one when. Was it George Bush? Was George Bush the president?
Yeah, before cable internet was prevalent.
Yeah, right. Their highlight tapes are on. Their highlights are on VHS.
That's right, Betamax. The question I spin to you as we wind down. We'll have Mike Lasser on the show for tomorrow. So I think we'll do the mailbag later in the week, Corey, because we're going to have all the important people we speak to later today, and then we'll get Matt on the show. So that'll get us across the finish line. But when we make our triumphant return to the playoff, the Florida State Seminoles, Corey.
Right.
Do we want the first round bye? I think Indiana's the only team, right, that's in these 2 years, small sample size. So we want to do it the hard way, right? Just we'll go on someone's campus, or we'll host one on our campus, and we'll do Oregon. We'll do the Oregon thing. They hosted and then found themselves here in the semifinal.
I think they're going to change it, especially if it stays at 12 teams, and I think it'll change for next year if they stay at 12. Is like I suggested, whenever it was a week ago. You make the bowl games the first weekend. So James Madison is playing Oregon in a bowl game, the Rose Bowl. And Ole Miss is playing Tulane in the Sugar Bowl. Those next games, the buys, those first-round buys, they get to host a home game. It just makes sense. Seattle doesn't have to go play in Vegas because they're the number 1 seed in the NFC. They get to play in Seattle. Yeah. So why in the world is Georgia not playing in Athens? Or Indiana, I should say. I don't want to come off as a Georgia homer, which I'm not. Literally, I was only mad because I thought they could beat Miami. Why is Indiana having to go? I know it's cool that they got to go in the Rose Bowl, especially when they beat them 38-3. But why are they playing a neutral site game when they're the number 1 overall seed? It just makes it, so. Hopefully, that's what switches. You can still have the bowls, your fun bowls. But they can be pushed up a week, and then the quarterfinal games are all home games. I think that would be awesome. Indiana, Alabama would have been awesome. Georgia, Ole Miss in Athens would have been. I know they'd already done it once this year, but that would have been really cool. The other ones, but also I think it helps the teams that had the bye because it is a disadvantage that you have to go whatever it is 27 days without playing, where the other team just went 2 weeks. That is a disadvantage. But you can almost make up for it if who did Texas Tech play?
Oregon.
If Oregon's having to play in Lubbock, I just think that evens the disadvantage that Texas Tech has from the rust and the layoff. And that is a real advantage if Oregon's having to play in Lubbock. And if I can't even remember the other. It wasn't a great – Georgia was like the only good game, right? Georgia, Ole Miss.
And Miami, Ohio State was a good game, I thought.
But Miami should have been in Columbus.
Yeah.
They should have been in Columbus. I just hope we see more Michael Irvin. I'm tired of them not showing him. It gets old. What's the problem? I see Taylor Swift on my TV all the time when Travis Kelce catches a 6-yard pass, but they can never show Michael Irvin except for every other shot. Like, I don't even understand it, Aslan. He played 30 years ago in the NFL. Like, he was a big deal 30 years ago. And I know he's still an NFL Hall of Famer, but it's like if Warwick Dunn was on the Florida State sideline and Florida State was beating Ohio State in a playoff game, would they flash back to him every other play?
I mean, because Irvin he's just a magnetic personality, you know.
I think he's a look at me personality.
Oh, he is. Yeah, I mean, Warwick Dunn. So like, Charlie Ward, like it was so cool to me when I started coming back here to cover the team, and like you would see Charlie Ward, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, Charlie Ward. But most people would see Charlie Ward like, oh, cool, Heisman winner. But there's something about Michael Irvin, the Cowboys, the mystique, just the way, like he's been out there in the public eye on ESPN NFL Network for so long, and he's just crazy. Yeah.
Hey, maybe Dion will come back.
Maybe
Dion will be on the sidelines, and it'll be Irvin and Dion again one of these days. Dalvin, I think Dalvin could be that guy.
All right.
He struck me I think he was here at a game this year.
He went nuts during the Alabama game, yeah.
Yeah, he was very excited. So maybe Dalvin could be a guy that they flash to every other play.
I'm trying to think, who would it be? Like, who is Dion's the only kind of like real flash. Like Derek Brooks, I don't think would get that kind of airtime.
All too classy, man.
Yeah.
Derek Brooks is calm and composed.
Yeah.
He's not taking off a belt and whipping a Gatorade cooler after Florida State wins. And going crazy and hugging Ray Lewis. It's bizarre that they treat Michael Irvin. Legitimately, they treated him like he was Taylor Swift. Yeah. They showed Michael Irvin more than whoever it was. NBC showed Taylor Swift that first broadcast when they got all the hate mail for like, hey, can you show the football game instead of the suite every other play? Like they show him all the time. And I know it's not going to happen because life's not fair. In Miami, I'm just convinced now is going to win the national championship. I hate to say it. I hope it doesn't happen. But I would love to see.
Indiana, I think, would vanquish them.
I would like to think that, but I would like to see Michael Irvin sad. That's all. But he's been sad for 20 years when it's come to his alma mater.
Yeah. Yeah, the longer they play, it's going to be more difficult for them to probably find a quarterback to replace old Carson Beck. So that's always good, too. I think the Sorsby, or maybe Levitt is a guy that supposedly they might be in the mix on, but he's visiting schools that aren't playing games right now. So
you know why, if you were a quarterback, though, and you'd want to go to Miami, not just Malachi Toney, but real talk here, do you not have 100% confidence that guy coaching that football team is going to give you a really good offensive line?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
That is a really I know the money helps, too, obviously. But by God, man, Mario Cristobal, that line of scrimmage, that's not all transfer portal guys.
Nope.
They are tough and physical. And he went and got them, and he made that front line that physical, or went and got guys that were that physical. And let's hope that can start up here in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I think he brought one of the tackles with him from Oregon. Everybody else is from high school, and then the center. That's their thing. Their spinal tap thing is like just center. Every year they got a new center, and then quarterback too.
Like the drummer, spinal tap drummer.
Yeah, I mean, they had the kid from UCF a few years ago. They had a kid from Indiana last year. They got the kid from TCU, Brockmeyer, this year. So. Yeah, and they've figured out kind of like what they want their roster to look like and what I saw somebody tweet this out. They're like Miami, and there was another team, I think maybe LSU with Lane Kiffin, which is like they're pretty much telling everybody in the country like they're out of the high school quarterback recruiting game. Yeah. Like they're just not going to do it. They're going to always go and get a portal quarterback. They'll build everything else homegrown, grassroots, whatever you want to call it. But like there are certain positions where like F it, like we'll get it, we'll figure it out in the portal. So I don't know if that's the right way. What's the right way? What's the wrong way? But let's hopefully they get a couple more guys. I think we've seen he's got a good track record, Herb Hand. I feel like Herb Hand's going to be able to give you a good offensive line, whoever the quarterback decides to be. But we'll see who it ends up being. Hopefully sooner than later. We'll get Matt Lassera on the show for you folks tomorrow. Check out warchant.com in the meantime. Again, 50% off an annual membership. You get all the access across warchant.com, the forums. You can read all the opposing team forums. You can read all their premium content. And then you get that year subscription to The Athletic, again, for 50% off of the going rate. This is probably the best thing we'll run until I don't even know. Maybe preseason football. And you don't want to be out the loop for that long, everybody. Right. All right, Corey, let's do a show tomorrow. Let's go speak to important people. Again, check out warchant.com and CumminsLifestyle on Instagram. Give them a follow.
Real quick, shout out to the men's basketball team.
Yeah.
Played well, shot the ball really well. Hopefully that's something to build on. They couldn't have started the ACC season with a tougher schedule than at North Carolina and then Duke at home. But tied at the half. It was a 2-point game with 20 seconds left. By far, I thought the best game they played. They have deficiencies, man. They're not big. They're going to give up points in the paint, and they just happen to play like two legit top 5 picks in the country in back-to-back games, but they're not going to be playing those guys anymore. Really cool for them to make shots because that's the one thing that's been missing. Make shots, play well offensively, because if they play that well offensively moving forward, they're going to win most games. So that was cool to see. It was a really fun game. It was a really, really fun game, and I do think, I have the opinion, it's a hot take, that if it had been played when school was in session, so the students would have been in the game, at the game, and the place would have been full, I think they win the game. Like, I really do. There just was no, until the very end, there was not enough juice to really put a lot of game pressure on Duke and the Boozer kid. And Duke was 23 of 25 from the free throw line. They're a 70% free throw shooting team, and they shot 92% because, of course, they did in that game. And I think maybe it's a little harder to shoot free throws with the students there. So, and it was only a 4-point game. But really good showing, really good showing. Wiggins has been good 2 games in a row now. So, that was encouraging. And it's good to see a team. We'll see, but it's good to see a team showing this kind of improvement as the season goes on.
Amen. That's a wrap for us. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Press conference with John Garrett, your GM. And we might be getting Michael Alford and Mike Norvell as well. So check that out around your lunch break, everybody. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins. Cummins Lifestyle. Give it a follow on Instagram, everybody.